BRICS was set up to degenerate our dollar and take our dollar as the standard, take it off as the standard. And that's okay if they want to play that game, but I can play that game too. So anybody that's in BRICS is getting a 10%.
What if I told you that one of America's closest and most trusted allies is now looking toward the BRICS alliance, a group once seen as a rival to Western power? Yes, today's shocking development comes from Japan, the world's third largest economy, making headlines across international media for signaling its growing alignment with BRICS, all while former U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff war policies continue to cast a long shadow over global trade. This is not just another headline. This could be a historic turning point in the balance of world power. For decades, Japan has stood firmly on the side of the United States and the G7 nations. It has been a reliable partner in global politics, economics, and even military strategy. But the aggressive trade war launched during Trump's presidency placed even close allies under pressure. Tariffs on steel, aluminum, automobiles, and even high-tech goods hit Japanese industries directly. While the U.S. claimed these tariffs were to protect American jobs and industries, Japan viewed it as a direct attack on its economy. And when your biggest ally starts hurting your industries, you're forced to look elsewhere. That's where BRICS comes in. Now, BRICS, made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, was originally formed to represent the interests of emerging economies. It was a way to challenge the dominance of Western-led institutions like the World Bank and the IMF. But over the years, BRICS has evolved into something much bigger, a potential alternative economic and political system, one that doesn't rely on the US dollar and doesn't bend to Washington's rules.
米国を射程に収める長射程ミサイルの開発も追求しています。これは国連安保理決議違反であり、
And here's where the shock comes in. Japan, a developed and advanced economy stepping closer to BRICS, could give the group the credibility and power boost it has been waiting for. This shift has immediate consequences. By opening doors toward BRICS, Japan signals that it is no longer fully dependent on Washington's policies. It sends a clear warning. If the U.S. continues with protectionist policies and tariffs, Tokyo has other avenues to protect its economy. This is a form of strategic balancing. Japan is essentially saying, we're not leaving the U.S. alliance, but we're not afraid to diversify our partnerships either. And in today's interconnected world, that's a very smart move. Let's talk numbers for a second. Japan's economy is export-driven. Its car industry, technology sector, and heavy machinery exports are the backbone of its GDP. When Trump's tariffs disrupted supply chains, Japanese companies faced billions in losses. Meanwhile, BRICS countries, especially China and India, represent massive markets with growing middle classes. By engaging with BRICS, Japan gains easier access to these markets, shielding itself from the volatility of U.S. policies. And let's not forget, BRICS nations are now openly discussing trade in local currencies instead of the U.S. dollar. For Japan, this is not just about new opportunities, but also about reducing dependency on a single global system dominated by the U.S. Geopolitically, this is a nightmare scenario for Washington. Losing Japan's unconditional loyalty would weaken America's position in Asia at a time when tensions with China are already at their peak. For China and Russia, however, Japan's outreach is a dream come true. Imagine the symbolism. A G7 member, long considered part of the Western camp, showing interest in BRICS. It makes BRICS look less like a club of emerging nations and more like a serious global powerhouse capable of rivaling the G7 itself. Now, here's where today's news gets even more interesting. Reports suggest that Japan is considering participation in certain BRICS economic initiatives, particularly around trade and technology cooperation. This doesn't mean Japan is formally joining BRICS tomorrow, but the signals are strong enough that both Washington and Beijing are watching closely. Analysts warn that if this momentum continues, Japan could become the first advanced industrial nation to officially bridge the gap between the Western Bloc and BRICS. That would completely rewrite the rules of global diplomacy.
今日のウクライナは明日の東アジアかもしれない。そのような不安を多くの方々が抱いております。なぜウクライナにおいて抑止力が効かなかったのか。
But remember, this isn't just about governments and leaders. It's about people, too. If Japan leans closer to BRICS, it means more trade with countries like India, Brazil, and South Africa. This could lower costs for Japanese companies and create new product flows into Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Consumers worldwide might see shifts in prices, availability of goods, and even the currency in which global trade is conducted. Imagine going shopping in the future and realizing the global system behind your products no longer depends solely on the US dollar. That's the level of transformation we're talking about. Of course, there's also risk. Japan moving closer to BRICS could trigger retaliation from the US. Washington might tighten tariffs even further or attempt to pressure Japan back into the fold with new agreements. At the same time, joining forces with countries like Russia comes with its own diplomatic challenges, given sanctions and geopolitical conflicts. Japan will have to tread carefully to balance its interests, avoiding alienating either side while maximizing its opportunities. So where does this leave us? Today's shocking headlines tell us one thing loud and clear: the global order is changing faster than anyone expected. The old days of unquestioned US dominance are fading, and nations, even those considered the closest allies of America, are exploring new alliances. Japan's bold move toward BRICS is a reminder that in global politics, there are no permanent friends, only permanent interests. One thing is certain: Japan's decision has shocked the world, and it might just be the first domino to fall in a much bigger global transformation. So what do you think? Is Japan making a smart move by exploring BRICS? Or is it risking its long-standing partnership with the United States? Could this be the start of a larger wave of countries moving away from Washington's influence? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your take. And if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe for more global updates, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the latest news that truly matters. The world is changing fast, and we'll be here to keep you ahead of the story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.